Happy Monday, class. So this video, I'm just going to quickly cover what we have to do for the week, and then I will do a second video probably a little bit later today and post it covering the lottery like I did with the pedestrian late last week. Let me just kind of preface and take a quick look at this long announcement about my feelings about the use of AI. So I need you guys to know that I am deeply familiar with ChatGPT and other platforms of AI, and I'm also very familiar with the stories that I assign. And so when I read responses that feel very polished and very similar to one another and not really like your voice, especially in those early posts where you kind of wrote about yourself, I start to worry. So AI has its uses, and I'm not gonna, I'm not hiding my head in the sand with that. And I understand that it's got its benefits, but AI is not appropriate for creation of intellectual property. And what I mean by that, as I explain in the first paragraph of this announcement, is that your original thoughts. So when I see lots of phrases like nonconformity and other phrases like sense of isolation and alienation and omnipresence, dehumanization, I start to get a little bit, wondering. I see lots of over-reliance on technology. So, and I went ahead, and you may have read my announcement where I ran my questions through ChatGPT. And you can look at those responses. So I want you guys to be careful of that for my class and for all classes going forward. ChatGPT AI can be helpful if you're trying to understand how to make your writing a little bit better. If you've got your thoughts and you feel a little bit like you've got a little bit of writer's block, or you've got you want to change the tone of something, but not for the ideas. Those need to come from you after reading the story and thinking about them. All right, so let's move on from that. For the Lottery by Shirley Jackson. This is a story many of you may have read already. I know it's been anthologized, but I thought it worked really well with the pedestrian in many different ways. We have this sort of, it's different. It is dystopian, but it is, doesn't feel futuristic necessarily. But you do have a sense of this everyday gone wrong in this story. And that's something that when I go and do my video later this afternoon, wherein I kind of pick through that story, I'll talk about that. So some of the things that I want you to think about as you go and start the story. So I gave some literary terms. Definitely this is an allegory, just as the former story was somewhat allegorical. There's foreshadowing going on. There's all kinds of other things. There's symbolism, a lot of imagery. Point of view is important, but when I cover this story in detail in my next video, I'll go over that. But definitely foreshadowing, scapegoat, that is a character who bears blame for others. And if you think about what happens in this story, that makes sense. And then there are other dystopian elements. This idea of sort of a senseless violence, and a group of people doing groupthink, which is not a positive thing. So think about those as you read it. Just as last week, we're going to follow the same procedure, except instead of using Padlet, we're going to try discussion board, and then I'm going to find out which one you like better. We've used Padlet quite a lot, and I want to shift into discussion board and see what you think about that. So, virtual assignment is the discussion. There are questions, and again, I really would rather see you answer from your heart, so to speak, even if they're not polished and perfect. The reading response is due on Sunday, just always on a Sunday. And again, the virtual attendance, the discussion board is due on Thursday. And then we're going to, I have attached Those Who Walk Away from Omelas by Ursula Le Guin, which continues the themes that Shirley Jackson brings up in The Lottery, and takes that a step further. All right. So if we click into our reading response unit, oh, and by the way, for the questions about where to submit reading responses, it's always at the bottom here. You'll see always at the bottom, reading response 1. You can alternately find your links for submission at your calendar, okay? So, for example, here you had your reading response on the pedestrian. You can always find those on a Sunday, okay? So all along here is another way of finding it. Let's go back to the lottery discussion. So here's a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation you can read with some background. I have 2 PDFs of the lottery. This one is easier to read. Obviously, it's clear, and but it's still the New Yorker edition. This, I wanted to show you what it looked like when it came out. So in the magazine itself, and it's a little bit hard to read, but you'll get a feel about in 1948 when this was published on. Oops, here we go. It was June 27th, or June 26th, the publication date, which, of course, when you read the story is significant. You can see how it looked and how the people in 1948 would have seen it. Okay. Here is an audio version. You're free to find any audio version. I linked one. Here's the worksheet. You want to do this worksheet, work through it, and then you're going to answer the 4 questions on the lottery for your discussion, and then your reading response due on the 2nd. So your reading response questions are the same 8 questions. It will be that way for all your stories, all 4 of them. Same 8 questions. You're going to turn it into a little essay. And again, these questions and these group discussions, the point of this, I just want to remind y'all, is to get yourself ready to write that first literary analysis paper. You're going to have to analyze, what I'm going to do this semester is have you do a comparison / contrast on 2 of the stories we've read with some commonalities, like on theme or use of symbolism. So you'll need to know this stuff to be able to write that essay. All right. Look for my video kind of breaking down the lottery later on this afternoon, this evening time frame. All right.